Welcome to Soul Elevation, guiding your ascension to new heights. I'm your host, Kara Goodwin, and I'm so happy to be here with you today on Monday, December 8th for this live stream. And I want to talk today about that feeling that you might be familiar with in the course of your life's journey, where something feels like it's wrong or something feels like it's missing, but you can't really put your finger on what it is. And there are a couple of different directions that I want to explore today. One being when we might just have everything that we think we need, but still we don't feel satisfied or we feel this malaise and why that might be. And then the other aspect of this is when we feel this maybe anxiety or some sort of discord, and we can't put our finger on it, but it may be some type of premonition about something that's going to happen that we don't have insight into now. And so the first thing I want to talk about was actually inspired by a song from John Mayer and on his, I think it was his very first album, which I think came out in like 2000. So about 25 years ago. And it was a song called Something's Missing. I don't even think this was a single. I don't think he released it as a single, but it was on the album. And it came to mind yesterday, I think rather randomly. I feel like it was in the morning and this song uh, came to mind. Something's missing. And there's a really interesting aspect to this song. Basically, he's talking about there's just some feeling that he has inside, and it feels like there's something missing, and he doesn't know what it is. And toward the end of the song, he starts running through this checklist of things that if any of these aspects are missing, then he would understand why he feels like there's something missing. But he's saying, I have all these things. So he says, friends, check. Money, check. Well slept, check. Opposite sex, check. Guitar, check. Microphone, check. Messages waiting for me when I come home, check. And so he's run through this list of basically the things that he thinks he needs to have a full life. And still, he feels this malaise. And so the whole point of the song is that he doesn't know why he feels this way. And maybe you've felt this way too, where on paper, everything seems fine, but there's still something like you still don't feel fulfilled. You feel restless, you feel bored, you feel like there's something missing. And what's really interesting as well with the way that this came to me is when this song came into my head, I was like, "Oh yeah, I really love this song." And what a great topic, because 25 years ago when this song came out, I didn't have a spiritual foundation. I didn't have a spiritual view on life. I related to this song. I knew what it meant to feel like you have everything you need and to still feel restless and to feel like something's missing. But because I have this spiritual perspective now, because of my spiritual awakening, I see this song in a different way. I feel that it is pointing to this modern mainstream view of the things that we need to check off in our life in order to be fulfilled, and they don't actually fulfill us. And there is something deeper that we need to cultivate within ourselves in order to feel complete. And so what was fascinating is that when this song came to mind and I thought, oh, this would be a great topic for when I go live tomorrow. I really want to explore this because I think it really drives home the point that in the material mainstream world, we are guided to fulfillment because the advertising, the education system, our families, the TV shows that we're watching, everything is pointing us in certain directions and telling us this is what you need to do. You need to have money. You need to have a partner. You need to have a steady job. You need to find fame in terms of, John Mayer in particular, who is singing this song, and then you'll be fulfilled. And it's missing this critical component. And so, what was interesting about yesterday in my experience with this idea coming to me about what I wanted to talk about today is that I went to this local gathering of where this author of a spiritual book, and I wish I could remember right now what the spiritual book was so that I could reference it. Head to Heart Talks was part of it, the name. But anyway, she was reading from her book, and she's reading this story. The story was about this character who went to see this wise old woman to get some advice, and she's wearing these $700 boots. She's wearing a fur coat. She's got like this power job. She's traveled the world. She's done all these things, and she isn't fulfilled, and she wants to have this woman, this wise woman who lives in the woods, who has doesn't even have a furnace. She wants her advice about how to, what is missing from her life. And it was so, I recognized the parallel right away of when she started telling the story and how it related to this topic that had been on my mind since I woke up in the morning. And I even while she was reading the story, she was turning the page, and it was like she was mid-sentence. So she was, I think, in the book, the woman was saying like, "And I have this, and I have that, and I have all of these things," but still, and she was trying to turn the page, and it was taking a while, and like 2 pages were stuck together, and she was just trying to, she stopped mid-sentence, and as I'm waiting for her to catch back up with with the sentence, to finish the sentence, in my mind, I'm saying, "Something's missing, something's missing." Like, I just knew that was, like, the natural way that that sentence finished, and so finally, when the pages got unstuck and she continued reading, that was exactly, "Something is missing." It was the way that that sentence finished. And, so I just got a little internal laugh about that. But it did reinforce the inspiration for talking about this, because especially in Western culture, this is something that is hidden from us, and I believe that it is the way that reality is inverted. There is this inversion of true reality. The true reality is that we are spiritual beings first and foremost. You are an eternal being. Your soul is eternal. You are a spirit first and foremost. And as a spirit, you have taken a body. You've been part of the creation process of this body. The body is a vehicle for the soul. It is a vehicle for the spirit that you are to have a spiritual experience on earth as a human. So, if we have any spiritual foundation in the way that the mainstream is constructed, this inverted reality that we live in, what we are taught, what we are sold, is that we are human beings. We live in a material world. And if there is even any focus on the spiritual nature of reality, we tend to see ourselves as humans who have a soul. But that is the inversion of what is true. We are eternal spirit beings in a temporary human body and experience. And when we get that flipped, then we start living in accordance with the true reality of the universe, with the real structure of reality. And that's important because that helps us to feel fulfilled when we're in alignment with the truth of the nature of reality. then we get into that alignment, body, mind, and soul, and it does help us to get through that feeling of malaise and that feeling that something is missing. And when I look back on times of my life where I have been following the rules and I've gotten the good job and I've got the family and I've got the money and I've got, all of I've got the college education, I've got the, whatever, everything at my disposal that I've been told is how you live a fulfilling human life. And I have still felt emptiness or that again, like this intangible sense that I actually don't have everything, and I feel anxiety and I feel a restlessness, and I can't pinpoint why. I believe the root of that is that we are disconnected from the soul, and this is a vital, vital component of our human experience. And the way that reality and the way that our culture is constructed, if we get the opportunity to nurture that aspect of ourselves, it is in our own time. It's like as a hobby, we do it if we have time to do it because we don't prioritize it. We're not encouraged in school or um, in our life. We don't have that encouragement, the typical way that people are living in a modern mainstream mentality. We're not encouraged to live our lives spirit first. And so it creates this disconnection within us, and that can create a loneliness, even if we know that we're actually not alone. We don't know why we feel lonely, but it's that misalignment. And the other place that I wanted to take this conversation is that sometimes we might be feeling a restlessness and anxiety, something, again, that feeling that something is wrong, but we don't know why. And it actually can be a premonition of something that we're tuning into that's about to come, and we don't know why. And I had this happen recently because a couple of weekends ago, I remember on a Sunday, excuse me, I felt this anxiety. I felt like there was something niggling at me. It felt like I was forgetting something or that there was something I was dreading, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And it was right before Thanksgiving. So when I would recognize that my body was feeling that way, because I was getting this like tightness in my kind of in my solar plexus area. And so it made me feel like I was forgetting something. And so I was like, what is it that I'm forgetting that I'm dreading? And it was a few days before Thanksgiving, which is just a busy time. So I had a lot of cooking to do. I had like some cleaning up I had to do. I had to organize my planning still and things like that. So I was like, maybe that's it. And then I had the summit coming up that was just around the corner too. And I had hundreds of people signed up for this summit and many speakers. And there were still a lot of to-dos for that. So in my mind, I was like, maybe it's those things, but they didn't feel right. You know how that feeling when you notice like, oh, I just feel the anxiety, but you can't remember why. And then you remember, and there's like that match. There's like an energetic match of like, oh yeah, that's why. Oh yeah, that's what I'm dreading. And we may then like ruminate on that. We want to try to avoid getting caught up in it, but nothing matched. So I was kind of like, oh, yeah, Thanksgiving's coming. But then I was like, no, I'm actually looking forward to Thanksgiving. And I know I've got plenty of time and I've got what I need for it. So it was kind of a like, let me go through this list of things that are coming that could make me feel nervous or anxious. And the summit, when I thought about the summit, it was like, no, that's still a couple of weeks away. I know I've got plenty of time. And I couldn't get a satisfying bite on what it was that was making me feel that way. And then on Monday, the next day, my cousin passed away in an accident in a training flight. So very, very unexpected, especially in the holidays time. It just was shocking. And I didn't even remember that I had felt that way on Sunday until a few days after I got the news, and then I was like, "Oh," because it was interesting on the Sunday when I was having that and I couldn't get the bite on what it was that was making me feel that way. I couldn't get that satisfying match to why I felt that anxiety. I thought, "Don't forget that you're feeling like this because maybe something's about to happen." And you just think you're trying to place it with something that you know about, but there could be something unknown. Well, then I got this terrible news and I wasn't thinking about Sunday. I was just grieving and it took me a few days before I connected back to that memory. So that's just something journaling can help with things like that. Like if you are I just that author that I was talking about earlier made this great point yesterday of when of the importance of journaling and when you're feeling something like that, if you're feeling anxiety, like write it down because you're able to then pull the energy and the emotion out of you and you place it, you kind of ground it in the journal entry and then it doesn't kind of fester within you. And also then you have a record for things so it can help you to go back once you do have the information, it can help you then to go back and just kind of reflect and see yourself in a more expanded way. So that was what I wanted to share with you today. I thank you so much for joining me. If you've enjoyed this, please do like and share. I just want to emphasize the importance of that in order to help content like this that is helping to expand consciousness, in order to help that find more people. That is an easy and free action that you can take to help that. And I'm so, so grateful. I'm really grateful to connect with you in this way. Thank you very much. And I'll see you next time. Bless you.